like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everybody that's here with the city. Thank you, Ms. Salinas, also for gathering us today for today's meeting. Mr. Mario Liscano is going to be absent today, so I will be leading the meeting for today. Does anybody have any questions? I'd like to ask a roll call.
Mario Liscano, absent. Alex Rios,
Present?
Ricardo Perdaza, absent. Sonia Falcón,
Here.
present. Johnny Rodriguez,
Here.
Lisanne McPain,
Present.
Ernesto Sepúlveda,
Present.
José Delgado, absent. Alma Caso,
Present.
Dr. Palomo, absent.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and start doing some introductions. Okay. Can I hear a motion to excuse any of the absent members today?
I make a motion?
Johnny, make the motion.
I'll
Second.
second.
Second by Lisa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Okay, now the introductions. I can start over to my left.
Johnny Rodriguez, Public Relations with the Bird Ogden Auto Group.
Alma Caso, Plaza Sports Center.
Lisanne McAlpine, Marquez Robotic Orthopedic Institute.
Alex Rios, Vice Chairman of the Board and Kids College Learning Center.
Sonia Falcón, Lone Star National Bank.
Ernesto Sepúlveda, BBVA USA.
Thank you. Okay, item number 3, organizational business. A approval of minutes for the October 6, 2020 regular called meeting. Have you guys had a chance to review them?
Yes, move to approve.
Okay. Move to approve by Sonia. Second by
Second.
Johnny. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, the motion carries. Item B, consideration and action, if any, on the treasurer's report of account summary, period ending on October the 31st of 2020. You do have that on your packet as well.
Lisa, you may want to make a note to number the pages because these are not numbered, or they're not showing up at least. The report is, but not the rest of the pages. Did you want to present on the budget?
If anything, I sent it to you for your approval, and we haven't had anything substantial in the last 30 days. The only difference was one new member for $400.
Okay. I'm going to call for a motion to approve the
Okay.
treasurer's report.
Call for a motion to approve the treasurer report.
Make a motion?
Johnny?
Second?
And second by Sonia. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item number 4, board action and strategic initiatives. Discussion and review Pharr Business Impact Survey results. Ms. Lisa?
Yes, so a few days ago, I emailed out the Pharr Business Impact Survey, but just to give a little bit of clarity on what exactly it was, starting in April and it wrapped up in about October 1st, the city of Pharr went out and visited with local businesses. We were able to visit with 420, and during that time, some of the findings that we got from the survey were a little concerning. So 27% of our small businesses have 2 weeks of reserve in the bank. 28% have about a month in reserve. 81% of our small businesses said that they had a lack of consumers, but also a lack of revenue. And then on top of that, 71% said that they would be seeking federal programs and or federal funds and or programs to help them move out of COVID and moving into the new year. So I think I'd like for the board to consider this data and identify it moving forward into the rest of our program. Are there any questions on this?
So who collected this data?
This was collected by the city of Pharr. Brenda, along with other people, went out to local businesses and had them input information.
So here it says 420 local small to medium businesses. Can you define small to medium businesses?
Absolutely. So some of our, across the street, a restaurant was interviewed, Doña Tere on Cage Street. So I could give you a list of all of the people that were identified. And of course, some were closed to us, so we weren't able to go visit with them, but there were 420 local businesses.
But by definition, I mean like the size as far as dollar amounts, do we know?
I could get you that information. What we do have is how many employees they have and so forth. And that could probably tell us how big the organization is.
And how would you like us to consider this in our activities?
Moving forward, and for the next 6 months, I'd like us to put together a program really being a resource to our local business community based on these findings and what is happening with COVID.
Lisa, do we plan on maybe expanding this questionnaire maybe to a more broad, or is this all we're gonna do for now?
I'd love to visit with the Economic Development Commission and expand on it. I think there's more that we can do. I think at this point, the city was trying to get a temperature with what small businesses were experiencing, but then also create resources. And that's where we're at right now, in the plan of creating resources on how we move forward.
Did we set up a way to follow up with them? I mean, just seeing April through October, even though it's a short amount of time, it's significant during COVID. And I personally know it can be either businesses operating or not operating. Do we have a way to follow up with them?
We do. I have phone numbers and emails, and just as soon as our new membership director comes in, she'll be visiting with all of these businesses to see how we can help close the gaps.
Was there a question about if they had applied already to a program like the PPP?
No.
No.
Lisa, question.
Yes, sir.
I noticed that obviously we have 420 local businesses that were surveyed, but what kind of penetration exactly is that in terms of our community?
So when the city rolled out the WorkSafe plan, we had 1,500 small businesses in general fill out the information. So that would be a third of them, about 30%.
So about a third.
Yes.
So Pharr leads the sales tax revenue collection in the Rio Grande Valley. So how do we know where that sales tax revenue is coming from? If this paints a different picture than the sales tax revenue, and they're kind of related, so what do we know about that?
So what I can answer there is different industries were affected. So there are some small businesses like restaurants that have been hurt more than produce companies. So the sales revenue isn't reflective of what's really happening. There's also small businesses that are being impacted.
So are you saying that the sales tax is primarily from the large businesses like Costco and, or where is that money
I would
coming?
say yes.
Mr. Wiley, would you like to expand on that?
So that's correct. During the pandemic, we found out the mom and pop businesses, the ones that were non-essential, were the ones that were suffering. It's true what Lisa's saying. The sales tax is not directly related to what you're saying. What did boom is the businesses that were declared essential, the Walmarts, the H-E-Bs, the Costco's, the Lowe's, all that was booming higher than ever during the COVID. So the sales tax is up, which is a good thing for the city, but it is a skewed number because 80–90% of that sales tax come from 4 or 5 different businesses only. The rest of the business community is hurting very bad.
On these numbers, do we have closures of business? And if so, do we have a percentage of that as well?
So I don't have that information. I think what's probably ideal is doing a follow-up to this initial survey. And again, this happened during COVID, so we're going to be leaning out of COVID. It'd be nice to have another survey so that we get a better picture of what's going on right now. But so I don't have an answer for you on that
Okay.
one.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Well, I do just have a question. I mean, it would be good to actually know maybe before our next meeting what the action would be on these, just to see if we're gonna find a way to help local businesses, or if we are going to do the follow-up, it'd be good to maybe set it up before our next meeting.
Absolutely. So moving on, I have a recommendation for a strategic plan, and it covers that.
Oh, good. Oh,
Yes.
good.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I don't think we need to approve.
Oh, there's
it,
no
just
action on this, okay,
information.
a discussion. Okay, any other questions? Yes. I'd also like to acknowledge Mr. Rick Pedraza's here with us as well.
Hi, hello everybody. Post-COVID, it's still COVID, but it's good to be back in the meeting.
Good to see you. Item B, consideration and action, if any, on the Greater Chamber of Commerce Strategic Plan 2021. And I believe you also have that on your packet.
Yes, sir. I'd like to explain. So I went back through the strategic plan that was put into place prior to COVID and reassessed. And what I'd like to propose today is really our mission and vision to be a leading organization that advocates for businesses in the community by providing relevant services that foster economic growth. Our vision to really be an influential business organization that will improve the economic strength and validity of its members. But then moving in, some of our goals is to really help local businesses succeed in the community, promote and improve trade, commerce, and overall economic welfare of the city of Pharr, and increase and maintain active memberships. How I want to get there with this board's help and our new membership manager is really immediately targeting our 1,500 businesses that put together a work-safe plan and making the chamber accessible to all businesses in the city of Pharr for 180 days, where they have a 6 months, no purchase necessary, and after 6 months that they've gotten the resources that we have, they move on, and then we can start engaging with them to become members. But in order to make them want to be members, we would like to include seminars, we would like to include marketing and initiatives for the city in order for the businesses to prosper.
Thank you.
And so how are we gonna put that together?
So immediately we have 4 seminars already on the books. We have one, Increase Your Followers and Engagement on Social Media. Image House Media, a PR firm, will be hosting that. DHR will be hosting one in December, Healthcare Amid a Pandemic. January 12th, BBVA will be hosting one, How Businesses Use Credit, and then the different types of credit that that's available to them, different federal programs and so forth. When visiting with Mr. Rios yesterday, he brought up a great, right now mental health is huge, and how are we providing a gap with mental health with our employees. So the next seminar that I'd like to do is one focused on mental health and bringing in somebody from our chamber to discuss mental health with our business owners.
So how are we tying that to your proposal about the survey from the COVID-19, where 81% of the responders said that the biggest issue they're facing is the lack of customers and lack of revenue? So what in those is gonna address that issue?
So these are going to provide resources. So a small business doesn't necessarily know how to engage on social media, but if we give them the tools, we give them the seminar, we teach them how to engage, they increase not only their likers, they increase their door swings, they increase their penetration of market share. So I believe that by giving them the tools, becoming a resource, filling the gaps in the community, the business community needs a lot of help right now. And so I'm proposing to meet those goals.
Okay, so of the 420 here and the 1,500 list that we have, how are we reaching out if they're not members?
So the 420 could be part of the 1,500.
Right?
So we will be reaching out to them and inviting them. We have a new system called Event Bank where we could put in their email addresses and it invites them to all of our programs. And if they take advantage of it, then they do. I've been out in the community. Last week, I visited 12 different chamber members, and the reaction that I'm getting is quite positive. People are happy to see us out. People are happy to see us engaged. They want to know what we're doing and how we're going to help them.
Listen, I think it's important to say that, we also need to make our presence felt in the community. And I think that by doing that, extending that hand, we're able to at least show them that we care. Obviously, a lot of these non-members, this is kind of going to be your way to solicit to them as well to become part of the team and become
Absolutely.
part of the Pharr Chamber as well. Thank you. So does this need any action for us to approve this?
Yes, it needs approval from the board.
Okay. Doesn't,
Lisa, going back to reaching out in the 180 days, what exactly will the new members or the folks that sign up for this program, what exactly is it that they're going to be getting? I know that we've got different programs for different types of businesses, small businesses, large corporations. What exactly do you envision giving out, or not giving out, but presenting to these new members as to what they're going to be able to use?
Immediately being a part of our seminars, immediately any resources that we have, immediately when we send out an email, when we send out any information from our chamber members, to participate in those kind of activities, to help them network, to help them utilize the small businesses in Pharr to help each other.
And then I would assume that after 180 days, that's when they choose the program that best suits them?
Yes, sir.
And so do you have the websites or the emails for all 1,500 businesses?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you're gonna email all those 1,500 businesses this free trial with the chamber for
Yes, ma'am.
180 days?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's already been inputted.
No, it has not been implemented. It's easy as flipping a switch. We just need to merge the emails with EventBank, and then we can send them anything we want to. But I did want to run it by the board before we did anything. There was no action's been taken.
And how are we gonna follow up with that?
We will most likely send them an email afterwards reminding them that this event is happening. And if they choose to participate, then they would most likely call to RSVP or email or click a link or something to be a part of our program.
So of the 1,500 that are on that list, how many have emails and how many don't?
The vast majority have to have emails. In order for them to have gone through the safe work plan, they had to have emails. So we do have emails for all of them. I'd say there's a small percentage that don't, but it wouldn't be a lot.
Well, my recommendation would be to follow up by phone, to talk to the owners of the business, because we don't know that the owner is the one opening up the email, right? And so I think that, we need to call them, especially the 420 that have been touched, to see if this is something, we need to get some feedback from them if this is something that's helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
are you recommending maybe like have a log as well to just
Keep
kind
a
of?
log, yeah. Keep a log of the people who, how do we know that they received it? Because they could have put somebody else's email, especially if these are small businesses, and we don't know if they're checking it. We don't even know if they're still open, right? And so we need to make sure, because what we're gonna get asked is, out of those 1,500 on that list, how many did we reach out to? How many attended the seminar? How many, was this helpful for them, right? And so we need to make sure that we have a follow-up. We can't just blast and then we did our job. We have to call them, right? And let them know that we want to do this.
I do want to highlight on the strategic plan, one of the recommendations that I'm making is each board member recruit 20 people, a paid membership once the 180 days are up, and our team, the chamber team, will help assist. If you give us names, we'll follow up, and we will try to close the gaps with those 20 people.
Okay, any other discussion?
I just had a
Questions?
question, the whole 180 thing, is that part of a campaign? Are you gonna be putting out promotional stuff and, okay.
So that, I present it tomorrow. We are talking, well, I am in the process of putting together a plan for a Pharr is Open, and it include different signs that could go in a front door so that people know that that door is open. What I had a call earlier this week where a consumer told me, well, I go up to a door and it's shut, so I don't know they're open. So we want to let people know that Pharr is open for business.
It's a good idea.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
Rick, motions, second by Johnny. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'd also like to acknowledge Mr. Jose Delgado in the back. You don't want to join us? There's a chair here. Also our board member,
Our commissioner that joined us.
one of the commissioner. Okay, item C, the consideration and action, if any, authorizing staff to restart the ambassador program in the month of November 2020. Okay?
Yes, so the last meeting that we had, we spoke about the ambassador program, but it was kind of vague. It didn't really give start dates, so I'd like to make to request that we start it in November. And we have list already, and we'd like to go ahead and start working with Johnny to go ahead and get those people engaged again.
Most definitely. I want to add that even with the program that you were talking about earlier, invite some of these companies, that are considering membership to join our ambassador program also. It's time, like the groundbreaking we had, that was a good start, to bring people out into the community now. Hopefully we can start having more ribbon cuttings and just, showing people the Pharr is open,
Absolutely.
so.
Yeah, it's definitely a way to also throw a sales pitch because they're able to stay involved into to what's going on in the city and attend the ribbon cuttings and so on. The ambassador program kind of reminds me of the teller line. Whenever you go to a bank, you see these are the first people you see, and I think the ambassadors are the face of this organization as well.
Most definitely.
I agree with you there, Johnny. Okay, can I?
So who's gonna head up the ambassadors? Is it still gonna be you?
Oh, yeah.
Do you all have the list of the ones that were helping us before?
I'm sure there was a list somewhere. I don't know how the previous president kept the list, or I know I just had them through emails. That's what I had.
So
Do we have the list?
I found minutes, so we can take the names off of the minutes, and we'll dig them up and find where they're at.
well, you have the contacts, right? Through
I
your
have them
email.
through email, the way I said.
So maybe you can forward them to her to create a list.
Perfect.
I don't know that we have to have an action on that, but, okay.
I had a question though, Lisa, as far as like capacity and restrictions for these kind of events like ribbon cuttings, are we still under a certain percentage that we can have at the events? As far as like ribbon cuttings or groundbreakings?
Good question.
That is a good question. I do know that I read an order last week that said that no more than a certain amount of people can be indoors, but once it gets outdoors, it's a little bit more lenient,
No.
maintaining social distancing. Yes, sir.
The city attorney there, Rolando City
Oh.
Attorney. Pretty good question.
So that's correct. At this time, we are still subject to the governor's orders regarding occupancy with respect to indoor. We have to follow, I believe it's still at 75% now, occupancy limit for any indoor event. And then outdoor events are, if you expect anything with more than 10 people, you have to request either permission from the mayor if it's within the city limits, or the county if it's in the extra ETJ. And then there's guidelines that have been provided to us by the CDC with respect to actually conducting any sort of event and that need to be followed.
Thank you.
As far as your action, you're wanting us to approve that you restart the program starting in November. Are we gonna see, again, a marketing for this? Are we gonna be involved as well with you to cold calls or?
So it really ties into what we're doing with our strategic plan and are now open, because not only do they become ambassadors, but they're also able to tell people that we're open. The whole campaign consists of snippets of small businesses where we could take video, deploy it on our social media, pictures of business owners saying we're open. So it's one and the same, and we can combine them together
Okay.
to help support each other.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, well, can I entertain a motion for approval on item C?
Make a motion.
Johnny makes a motion to approve authorizing,
Second.
second by Jose. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Sorry about that. All right, moving along here, activities and announcements, upcoming events.
So the upcoming events that we have are our seminars. We also have, on the 17th, we have a Northside Park groundbreaking. And then on the 30th of November, we will have our downtown park ribbon cutting. So I'll be sending out information for those events.
Lisa, I have a question. The social media, the seminar, is it virtual or in person?
It will be virtual.
Oh, good.
Our media department is handling it and making it available with a link, so people just have to log into the link and they can get the resources that way.
And who will be doing the presentation?
Image House Media, they're a PR firm out of McAllen. They handle Lexus, Maserati, some local Doña Tota, different eateries, and so they'll be doing the social media seminar.
Image House?
Yes.
And they're volunteering their time.
They're volunteering their time.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. And then your president's administrative report?
Yes, I wanted to let everybody know, the last time that we met, we spoke about the membership manager. We opened up the rec, we had some people apply. We have extended an offer to a young lady that starts in a week from now. I want to say the 12th. But we do have somebody starting and hopefully heading into the new year, fully staffed and ready to bring on 2021.
So I had a question. Where are y'all gonna be housed, stationed at, or how's that?
Right now, we're in the Pepe Salinas building, and that is contingent to change as soon as the first floor here gets finished remodeled.
Okay.
Yeah, can be added. So as soon as City Hall's done, we move everybody out of there. I need to talk to the commission, but one option was the original option y'all had at, it was it 213 East West Park, right next to the RMA. Y'all had a building there that got started to get remodeled, didn't finish. That one, but I'm leaning more towards giving y'all back the original chamber building at 308. So we get that remodeled, give you also room to host some people there, some trainings there. It's got a training room, everything. It's already decked out with Wi-Fi and everything else. I think that'll be a lot better fit for y'all.
It's being remodeled now?
No, it's being used right now
Okay.
by Development Services. Once they get out of here, out of there and move back into City Hall, then we'll go back and finish up the remodel.
Okay. Okay, is there anything else, Lisa, that you had for us?
Nope, that is it.
Anybody have anything else?
I had a suggestion as far as like, with our Google or Google My Business. I know that there's other chambers, of course here locally, that, you know, you can Google their chamber and you can leave a review and things like that. I looked up Pharr, the Pharr Chamber of Commerce. Unfortunately, we don't have one. Is that something that we can eventually look into in the future? And, you know, setting something up like that?
Absolutely. I've been very in tune with media and getting their resources that they can give us. And so that's one that I'll task them with to help us put together a review page.
Okay, great.
I would also like to, along with that, suggest Facebook, you know, or any social media that they might utilize, Instagram, or that they can add that as part of, you know, a way to contact them. Because some people, that's how they handle their marketing, their own marketing, you know, and I'm a business owner myself, so Facebook is my best friend. I try to pay them a little bit of dollars to them to do that, but if we could do it utilizing the chamber Facebook page, I think that'd be another incentive to joining the chamber as well.
Alex, what happened to the Facebook that we had established?
I know we had the account going. We all got to share that on our personal pages. We got several likes on there, several hundred. So
Do
I
we
don't know.
still have access to that, or who is the
I know that
administrator?
City of Edinburgh had.
Still active, isn't it?
We do, and here, over the last, I guess, 6 or 7 days, I've tried to stay active every day, posting 2 or 3 relevant things. Yesterday kicked off the start of veteran small business-owned businesses in support of them, so I posted that. But here, you'll see a lot of activity with our social media, trying to be very relevant to what's going on.
I think that's a good point, because we were just starting to do that before the pandemic started. And we were starting to get people to recognize that there was a chamber. There's still so much confusion as to if there is a chamber, if there's not a chamber. Personally, I was lost a few months, maybe 5, 6 months, I don't know about you all, but felt like, where are we headed? Who do we reach out to? And there was confusion within the chamber. It's very important to set out a very clear, here's the chamber, like you said, Pharr is open, but just make sure that on our social media, we remain consistent. That's when people start getting confused. In our business as well. If we start posting steadily and then we decrease, people are confused. Is there a chamber? Is there not? The physical presence as well. As Mr. Wiley said, we're going to have a building, a place where people know we can go there and we'll find someone that's in charge of services that can help us, that can answer questions. That's going to help a lot. So maybe even posting that. We're getting ready to have our building. We're doing this, and so that'll get the word out that we're there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think you need to also know that you're the contact person for the chamber, and I don't think we've done any of that,
Correct.
outreach to the public, especially to our small businesses or the ones who are already on board. So I think that you need to make that known and put the phone number, and that, the city is undergoing renovations and that we're gonna have a home, because we can't, you're right, absolutely right.
And especially in these difficult and confusing times, that's
Yeah.
when we should have been more present and strong, so that when there was confusion within businesses, we could reach out to someone who, we knew that there was going to be consistent answers.
I don't think we had a president, though. Lisa, you started barely when?
30 days ago. So in the last 30 days, I've reached out to community members. I've tried to fill the gaps where there was some disconnect. And so here, my commitment to this board and my commitment to the city is I will go out into the fields and I will meet people and offer them resources that they should be getting from the chamber.
So maybe a post about an official, you are the new president, your face,
That'd be a
your
good idea.
name, your everything, so that we all know. Like, I found out maybe when I emailed you back, like maybe 5 days ago, that there was a new president,
An introduction would be good on social media, Lisa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even talk to the
Yourself.
city leaders and ask them to do maybe a publication as well on the city website too.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, we are doing a big campaign in the city to get, everything nowadays is online. I don't know if you followed our social media page and our YouTube page and our Instagram page. Every week we post something. This past week we interviewed the judges. It's Judges Week. Every month there's gonna be a new director that's gonna be, and department that's gonna be showcased. We do consider the chamber a department of the city. It's a component unit, so we are gonna back it 100%. She will get an interview here soon. That's not a problem. We want y'all to get off. We want y'all to get off on the right foot, get everything started correctly. We're gonna back it 100%. What we did during the COVID event, when Karina was temporarily running the chamber, we put about $500,000 into a pot. There's still money left out there for businesses, for rent. The majority of the money that we allocated, and we're gonna keep allocating, was for online services. The commission's intent and my intent when we started the COVID thing is a business is not gonna survive and thrive unless they're online. Doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are. That was the number one thing we wanted the previous chamber staff to do that didn't get done. We need to push online. We want online web services, creation of websites, inventory, all that stuff. We counted money to hire somebody to go in and train these people, to get them started off. That's, to me and to the commission, that's our number one thing. If you don't have an online presence, you're not gonna survive.
So
We still have about
the 400,
$100,000 left.
sorry,
in there.
the 420 people that responded to this survey, how many of those have online services?
I have no idea.
See, that's where the mistake is, right? Everybody wants it, but nobody knows who they are, right?
Well, it's
And
not a,
so I
it's
think
not a
that,
mistake. It's gathering info. You're still in the gathering
right,
info
but you
stage.
have the info.
This
So what are
commission,
you
this
doing with the
board
info?
has been active in what they want. Just the execution hasn't been there.
So is that the chamber's responsibility or the city's
That's
to
the
act on
chamber's.
those 420?
When those 420 people came in, that's a gathering thing. Now with the strategic plan that y'all approved, now we're gonna move forward and say, okay, what do those 420 businesses need? What
So-
does the public at large, the business community want from the chamber? What services do they want from the chamber? That was a problem before, is you had a chamber, but you didn't have any services. So the community was like, well, I'm paying money, but for what? We're not
But-
getting anything
okay,
for it.
but
So
Now
again,
you're gonna get something for it.
go ahead. Alma.
I think what's important is to recognize that we were at a certain point before the pandemic, and I don't know if you guys remember, but
Yeah.
I think I remember the last meeting we had, our task was to conduct a survey of thousands of, I think the mayor had requested.
He wanted to know all
every
the
single
businesses in the
business
community.
That didn't
that
happen.
there was, and we had tons of questions. We were like, wait a second, how do we get this done? We wanna do it, but how do we do it? Which questions are we gonna ask? Do you remember, guys? It was
Yeah.
like, how are we gonna set out to do all of this? And it seemed like a huge task. Next thing we know, businesses are closing, we weren't meeting, so that was left cut. And then, quite honestly, there was the survey conducted. I didn't know about it. I don't
I
know
didn't.
about you all, but I didn't know about it. Maybe we should have been told there was gonna be this survey, and we could have pitched in somehow, or maybe conducted virtual meetings. I know, and it's not your fault or anyone's fault, you weren't yet,
I think that was
president.
led by the city though, right?
So there was a gap of time, so all of these questions and concerns, we can address all of them, and we should. It's just lack of communication, and then also restrictions and difficult times. We weren't able to meet, and we just didn't know how to do it. But the fact that Mr. Wiley was saying that most businesses, or all businesses, in order for them to thrive, should be online, is a very good point. But then there are also businesses who have no idea, or who probably think that they shouldn't be online at all. Maybe a tiny little restaurant doesn't think that they should be online. Maybe they should just be doing, by online, do you mean like delivering their food?
I mean, any online presence, if you're, like you said, if you're searching for, you're here at City Hall, leaving restaurants near me, if there's a restaurant across the street's a little taqueria, and they don't show up, they're not gonna get your business.
So what I'm hearing from Mr. Wiley is that the chamber is responsible for reaching out to all these people that are on the survey and asking them what their social media standing is, whether they have any or not. And if they don't, the city has money to help them with that. And so you're gonna have to reach out to them and ask them, what the status is for that. And so I think what they're saying is, we did the homework, now you need to do your part, right? Because he's saying this is a chamber's responsibility. So all those 420 have to be reached out to, right? And then after you're done with those 420, the remainder of the 1,500, right, that are still pending on that list, so that you're able to give a report if it really is social media, what percentage of those do not have social media, because we're putting, the cart before the horse, right? We're saying we're gonna have a social media event, but we don't even know that those people have a problem with social media, right? And so we need to make sure that we're doing things in order, right? And I agree with Alma, there's a lack of communication between the city, what they're doing, and what we need to be doing, but I think he's made it clear what we need to do, right? So I think that, we need to get ready for that, and see how we're gonna contact them. Get the list, send it out to all of us so we know which are the 1,500. And out of those 1,500, start making phone calls, start with the 420 that got surveyed, right? And say, okay, tell me about your social media presence. And then find out what percentage of that have social media or not, right? And then after those are done, keep going down the list, because that's what you're saying you want us to do, right?
I'm saying that every business should have a social media presence.
Thank you.
In my
That's what
opinion,
he's
that's the way we were promoting it before. That is in the strategic plan. We've already gone around, I think, multiple times. We're gonna contact the 400. We have the list of the 1,500. We made the list when COVID came around that in order for you to open your business and keep it open, I need your contact information. So we have all that. 90% of the work is done. Now, it's just contacting them, and that's what the plan is gonna do.
And one of the things I see, eventually we have an upcoming event. Thank you, Sonia. We have an upcoming event on the 10th, which I think with those businesses, if we can communicate to them, we have this one here, so you can be more familiar with how to connect with the social media. The trick is going to be, okay, how do you communicate with those that may not have an email address or Facebook?
Phone book.
So we have a really narrow window
4 days.
to make them aware of this upcoming event.
I would suggest having this one, but scheduling another one.
Right.
Another social media seminar?
Yeah.
We can do that.
Or record it. I mean,
Yeah.
we could
It
record
will be
it.
recorded, yes.
Record it and
Then
host it
access.
on our webpage.
Yeah.
Well, after you have identified which are the ones that have the challenge with social media, then those are the ones you want them to commit to attend, via internet. And if they have a challenge, they may not have access to it. So we may have to set up a room where they can come and look at that, right? So if it's a challenge for them, they're not gonna we have to reach out to them. The old-fashioned way is calling, right?
Lisa, quick question. So I know that we've got this program on the 10th, is that
On the
correct?
10th.
On the 10th. How much time have we spent already reaching out to people, or have we got any people, any businesses interested? Have we got people to sign up?
We have 25 confirmations, and this morning I called every hotel motel here in the city of Pharr, personally inviting them, also getting occupancy rates to see how we're gauging in hotel motel occupants. And so I extended another 11 invitations this morning.
And what type of occupancy do we think we're gonna be allotted in the hotel? Is that where we're having it, in the hotel?
No,
Virtual.
online.
It's
It's
virtual.
virtual.
Online.
Oh, it's online, okay.
but I see your point. I mean, eventually, we're gonna have, ideally, you would like to have a location physically for those that don't have access
Yeah.
to social media.
Those are the ones having problems.
Yes, I think that's your primary target.
That's
No,
your
but I think right now, what we do have is some interest, which is
Absolutely.
good, and it's a great starting point. At the same time, when we start reaching out to the 420 businesses that helped out with the survey, thanks to the city, I think we should also, when we reach out to them, we have a list of not only one topic, but maybe a handful of topics that we think or that we know are crucial for our small businesses, so that we don't have to be going back and back and back with another question. That way we can hit them all at once, and that can line us up for another 6 months or maybe even a whole year, depending on what those topics are, so that we can provide that information and set it out correctly over the time span of maybe 6 to 12 months. And in this case, the 180 days that we're suggesting, we can very easily put together a program with what is important to these folks that they want to hear about, and get that done in an orderly fashion. Just a suggestion.
Absolutely, thank you. I had been emailing back and forth, and I know that I spoke to you, Ernesto, and you gave me a great idea on one of the seminars, and then I did reach out to Doctors Hospital, and they gave me a great idea for another one. But it's open, and if you have an idea that you'd like to see implemented, please, open to feedback and happy to receive it.
But let's go back to Wiley's point, and that's that city's goal is to make sure that the businesses are all linked, right? That they have access to internet. And so we need to follow up with those that don't, and what services or what benefits does the city have? What resources do they have that can help these businesses get logged in? That's the goal. They want everybody online. They want everybody to be able to connect. And I think that's a major resource for the city and for the chamber, right? But we need to not just invite them, and then if they have a challenge with it, we need to give them a solution and say, here, if you go to the city, talk to this person, they have resources that can help you build up they have the money that you need in order to get Wi-Fi or whatever it is. Is that what you all have? Is that what you're saying?
No. So that's a totally different story, and we do have a plan for that, but that announcement's gonna be coming soon. What I'm talking about is providing them services for training so they can build, maintain their own website and online presence.
But if they don't have that, how are
That's
they?
a total, that's a business where Spectrum and AT&T decide to put fiber, that's a business model for them. But the city is gonna bridge that gap. So we'll get to that at another meeting, but as far as providing online services to people that don't have services, we're tackling that problem as a city. Has nothing to do with the chamber.
I think you need to have, because they're gonna say, well, what can you do to help me? What is your answer?
Yeah, so, I'm sorry, but every person has a cell phone nowadays. At the very least, people, because we've all done it before, if you have to sit at a computer and log in. Everybody's got a cell phone, every camera has a cell phone, everybody can log into a Zoom.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, like
Yes.
nowadays with the phone, you pretty much do everything.
Yeah,
It's
it's
on the
shortcoming to think you have to sit at a
Smartphone.
computer nowadays.
And I think the important part here, I think the information you're getting from us, the questions, I think is relative because we want to know more about these businesses, I think, and we're all in agreement to that. I think, and so are you in the conversation I had with you yesterday. I think that your goal is there. The good thing here is that, you have a board that's ready and active, and then you also have what I just heard, which was music to my ears, saying, we support you 1,000%. And having the city support the chamber, I think, is key component to us being successful. But these questions that the board has had and they've brought up to you, I think are very, very valid questions. And also remember that you can use your programs within, like the ambassador program, with Johnny, I know can help you with that. I can help you with that, so that you can have ambassadors in there also making these phone calls, so that you're not having to do all this yourself. And I think that that's what, in the past, Rebecca was having a hard time, was she couldn't do all those phone calls on her own, is what she was saying. Now, we as a board need to just come up with maybe some questions for you, or some concerns or suggestions. Maybe we could write that to you, email it to you. That way we don't do it in a form of a meeting and then waste, the time as well.
Alex, but,
Absolutely.
sorry, Lisa, to interrupt, but I was wondering on same topic on how difficult it is to actually call all of these businesses. It's going to be very time consuming. Even 420 seems like a big number. Which resources were used for the WorkSafe
Yeah, so.
initiative?
Yeah, I'll help you out. So we did pick up some of our part-timers. We did have a group of, I think we had about 38, 40 people. We went out and hit every business to tell them, hey, you need a WorkSafe plan. The city's willing to go ahead and initiate that again. That's not a problem. We'll sit down and do a phone bank. Put
Because they
people in
were,
a room.
I personally submitted a WorkSafe plan, and it was very, very quick. There was always someone answering the phone.
Yes.
They called me back 3 or 4 times, and I thought they wouldn't, and they called back. So, however that was set up, sounds like a good way. Maybe we can do the same thing for the chamber. Just wondering if those resources would be available for us, because quite honestly, the 81% lack of customers and lack of revenue figure is quite disturbing. I mean, it is worrisome that our businesses are suffering, and that's what we are here for. We're board members for the Chamber of Commerce, and we worry about businesses. So if they're saying we have a lack of customers and lack of revenue, that we need to come to the rescue, right?
And I'd like to add, though, that we have a program through the chamber that other chambers across the state have. It's called Event Bank. So what you can do is technically merge all of the email addresses, and then we can deploy messages out there. So if there's a program with resources, we can put it out there, and it touches each of the persons that signed up for the WorkSafe. So it would get to your email address.
Yeah, and also plus, I mean, we're in the middle of this COVID. It's kind of like put a lot of things in the back plate, especially customers going out and spending money. I know personally I've saved a lot of money from not going out to restaurants, and it's unfortunate because it just literally scared the daylights out of the human race, let's put it that way. And thousands of businesses has been offended, by this, and it's sad. It is sad. And yeah, slowly but surely we're going to start trickling and thinking of ways on how to get back to some sort of normalcy. It's unfortunate, but these numbers are, it is what it is. In other words, it's COVID, and it's sad. It's sad. It really is.
On our social media, one of the efforts we could do is just the hashtag, the support local. So maybe encourage our own Pharr people to buy at a local restaurant. Like Johnny said, we're not doing it, but think maybe these $10 are gonna go a long way. Just try to support local. That could be.
Thank you to the board for all your comments. They're, again, very, very important. On item number 6, for adjournment on the meeting, unless anybody has anything else. Good?
Where are we meeting next time?
Most likely in here.
If anybody has additional, I would like to continue that, but maybe by emailing Lisa all the concerns and questions we might have, to maybe even mid-month, we can come up with some kind of answers, and we can even give her some of ours. If you have any questions for us, you have a bunch of experience up here with Chamber. I think there's no doubt about that. But, the fact that we will take a lot of your time. It's important that we communicate with you. Communication is key, extremely key. And
So that's a good point, because Mr. Wiley is saying that we need to do this. We need a deadline for when this needs to be done. Do you have an idea?
Deadline of which part
For
are you talking
reaching
about?
out to these customers?
Yeah, the whole strategic plan is there. I mean, you can go out and reach all 100, so it's two different things. All 420 customers, or even all 1,500 customers, you can reach them tomorrow. I guess as long as they make the bridge and send them an email, we can reach them and tell them what's going on. The other part of it is what Ms. Alma had to say is I think the personable touch of somebody calling and asking is needed, and the city's willing to help. Like I said, we'll do a phone bank, we'll bring in part-timers, we'll get a script ready, we'll get all that stuff done.
And that's on your budget.
Yeah, it's on our budget. It's all on our budget.
Make sure that got recorded.
Yeah, so just for information purposes, we did move y'all to City Hall. We wanted y'all to have a nice place to meet, to have the good conversation we're having, and for the public to see that y'all are working for the public. All of our meetings here are streamed, all of our meetings here are recorded live and streamed live, so.
Well, thank you very much. I do have.
So what is gonna be the deadline for that project? We should have it done by next meeting?
We can flip the switch tomorrow. We just need to merge the names over, and we can touch them immediately and then follow up with phone calls once I get our membership manager, myself, Brenda. We can sit down, but we are also in the process of delivering all the plaques and decals to all of our members that we have right now. So we've delivered right at around 13. We still have 35. That should take another 4 or 5 days, because it takes time, and members want to visit and so forth. So if anybody would like to join, I'd greatly welcome any help that y'all would like to give.
So when does City Commission want this done?
I mean, as soon as possible, but we understand everything takes time. What I suggest is probably come back next meeting with an overall plan for a year-long strategic plan with some dates in it. That way y'all can be on the same page, and we'll present it to City Commission at the next meeting also, which is the.
And I agree, because it's not gonna be in 1 month that you're gonna get numbers, you're not gonna see it.
I'm just asking for a date. I'm
Sure.
not saying it should be in 1 month, but, you're saying you flip a switch, and then, we're getting all kinds of opposite. We want to contact them, right? That's what we need to do, is contact them. But the city had several resources that they used in order to reach out, like Alma was sharing, right? And that's the experience we want the customers to have, not that I called and nobody answered, right? And so if the city is pledging to do that to help you, right, then you need to make sure you coordinate with them by when that can be done, and when will it be finished.
Yeah, maybe you could just take some time, look at it, and then shoot us an email, kind of figuring out what you think, like realistically, like Ed said, we gotta have a realistic, because right now with how everything's going,
Absolutely. Would y'all's team like to be invited as well to make phone calls, so I can coordinate with your schedules?
I would.
I think it's
Oh,
very
good.
difficult for me. right
One thing that, when I used to be in Corpus Christi, we used to actually do an actual enrollment, like one-time enrollment every year. And that's what we would do, is we get together, you'd bring people from the community, you invite them, and then all you would be doing is making phone calls to get members. for the
Well,
one
that's a
thing.
membership drive. This is a little bit different. This is they need to find out, and I think using Johnny's ambassadors that's something we would do for a membership drive. But this project is a little bit different, right? So the city commission is tasking us with wanting to find out how we can address these issues, right? These 420 members, that 81% of them say it's lack of sales revenue, lack of this, and the city's goal is to make sure that everybody has technology, right? And so is it the lack of technology that's driving that 81%, or is it something else, right? And so they're asking us to reach out to all the 1,500 people that signed up for the Safe Pharr, right? And so when Becca was tasked with that, it was gonna be just her, and then the city, when she left, the city brought in volunteers, or not volunteers, paid staff to do that, right? And so now they're tasking us with, okay, I need you to reach out to them, because we want them to know, which of these people don't have the technology, right? Because we want all the businesses in Pharr to have the technology. And so we're being tasked with that, okay? And what Mr. Wiley is saying is we will provide resources like we did with the original survey, But he's putting it on her plate to say, this is something that's gotta get done.
Well, one thing, if we're gonna blast that out the email, maybe get with IT media to figure out a way, when they do send it out, they can just like reply to it. That way, you're not gonna be calling, you know, because it's a means to an end. I mean, 420, you know.
Absolutely. So that's what I was immediately thinking. It's probably easier to send out to the immediate 1,500 and then get confirmations once they opened it. And for the ones that didn't, then I could follow up with a
Then
phone
you-
call, because then it's really working smarter and not harder. And so just, I think that there's a lot of people out there that do know how to use email and do know how to use internet. There's just a small percentage that doesn't, so we can close the gaps that way.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that information, and thank you again, Sonia, for those very good points. Again, I'd like to make a motion, or
Move to adjourn.
move to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Sonia,
Second.
second. Mr. Pedraza, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign, and the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.